How do you kill people?
Well, there's a lot of ways to kill people. One of the funnest is to blow them up. I like to blow up people with a little latex, a little glue, a little rubber, a little paint, and lots of Caro syrup blood. Especially in slow motion. That's the best. Hi, I'm Ed Martinez, and I do special effects for a living. The word special effects is really an amalgam of many different disciplines. It's part art, it's part science, and commerce as well. I mean, what you have to do is basically be a problem solver. You get given an assignment, usually for not enough money and not enough time, and you have to try and figure out how you're going to come up with what the client wants in not enough time. And often this is where you have to be really creative, and you have to come up with new methods and mixing techniques together that you never dreamed you would use. And I find that that's the most challenging thing about what I do, and part of the reason why I love it. The Discovery Channel was going to be airing a documentary on the resurrection of a full-size woolly mammoth that was found in the ice up in Siberia. And what they did was they carved it out of a solid block of ice and airlifted it and did research on it and found that it was completely intact. And they needed a full-size replica of the woolly mammoth to put in the window to promote this documentary that was going to be on the Discovery Channel. So we had at least only 15 days. And in order to do this, we started off by building it on a 4 by 8 foot sheet of plywood. And we used metal pipes with threaded rod pipe connected to the plywood. And then around that, we would place various diameters of PVC pipe that would make up the armature or skeleton. So we have these 4 legs. One of them is slightly raised. And so we actually only have 3 legs on the ground and 1 leg suspended with a PVC pipe bent to conform to the bent upward foot stepping motion. And what we did was we wrapped circular pieces of tubing or pipe around this box type shape that we built to create the bulk of the body. And we used mattress foam, a spongy type of polyurethane foam, wrapped around these pieces of cylindrical tubing to create a hollow giant shell for the main structure of the body. And the head was created separate, and the fur, which we had to special order from back east, was the longest fur that we could find. It was about 4.5 inches long, sort of reddish brown in color. They don't really know what the woolly mammoth's color of the hide would be in, a couple thousand years ago or whatever, but we did the best we could. We ordered a fur that we thought was close, and then with airbrushing some additional color on there, we gave it a mottled kind of a brownish color. In order to create the hump on the back, we used a really thick style of mattress foam, about 5-6 inches in thickness, and we cut it with electric carving knives to create the hump, and fashioned it onto the rest of the body using spray adhesive and masking tape, gaffer's tape, everything you can think of, including muslin, a canvas type of cloth, to help smooth out the bumps between the pieces of foam that were glued and connected to each other. So that would give us our basic body. Our legs were hollow cylindrical tubes of this type of polyurethane expanding mattress foam that we would take a flat sheet, make a circular tube, spray glue it, and bond it to itself. That would give you a cylindrical leg. And then, these 4 legs were actually separate. We would be able to attach them, to the bulk of the body on location. So the 4 legs were separate pieces. The head was a separate piece. The tusks were made out of styrofoam that we would take a large block of styrofoam and with a hot knife, a special kind of tool that you plug in and it gets warm, and the knife blade cuts through the styrofoam like a hot knife through butter, literally. And you could carve and whittle away at the styrofoam until you would end up with the shape of your giant tusk. Then you could go after it with sanding and files and things like that to get the final shape you want. Then on top of that, you'd place 2-part polyurethane resin plastic that is in a liquid form. You mix those two together and pour them over the surface of the styrofoam after, of course, the styrofoam has been coated with many layers of white glue, because this type of styrofoam would melt and dissolve with this type of polyurethane resin poured directly on it. So first you must seal the surface with the white glue. So we did that, and now we have these rigid, hard, coated plastic tusks made primarily from styrofoam. So we have a nice lightweight body of the piece and a hard, rigid shell around it. And with these two separate styrofoam pieces bonded together with a piece of PVC pipe for sort of an armature, we could then connect those into the head, and the head would be a separate piece would then be placed on the body. And then we got to put this fur on top of the back and everything still.
Still keeping its shape?
What?
Is it still keeping its pretty, its tummy shape?
Oh yeah.
It's not hard not to pull too tightly on the threads.
Because we only had about an 8-foot width of a doorway and about a 7 or 8 foot height of a doorway to take this full-size woolly mammoth through. So the way that we moved this thing was in a giant truck. They brought us a giant truck, and we were able to, the thing was light enough that we were able to lift it with 3 or 4 people into the truck on its wooden base, slide it in the back, lash it down with ropes, drive it over to San Francisco, pick it up, carry it into the store sort of at an angle, being very careful as we brought it through the doorway, because this thing would just knock down everything in the store if we didn't clear a wide enough pathway. Then we had to get it over a rail that was about 3.5, 4 feet high, and it did not come out. The rail was not a removable rail, so we had to lift the entire platform, the entire plywood base, body and all, and place it over the rail and onto the floor. Then we could put the head on, the tusks on, shimmy the legs up onto the pipes, and we'd have the entire piece in the window. Now, once that was done, it was dressed with snow and blocks of fake ice, and they're made out of styrofoam, these fake blocks of ice, and they were painted white and coated with a plastic coating and then sprinkled with an iridescent glitter to resemble real ice. And also a background was painted so that it would resemble the frozen Arctic tundra, and giant posters that would promote the special on the Raising of the Mammoth were placed next to it. And that's the completion of the Woolly Mammoth project. It had a very friendly, kind of furry outside and exterior, and people wanted to pet it and touch it. And it was although very imposing, large beast, it still had a sort of a friendly quality to it. The face had real elephant glass eyes. The facial features were done with a sort of a soft sculpture technique, where you take fabric and you put 2 layers of fabric sandwiched around a 1-inch thick piece of mattress foam, sewn on the sewing machine to create the wrinkles. And then you would put eyelids, the jowls, the cheeks, all the mouth pieces, the trunk. It's kind of like a tentacle, but it was a trunk. And we would put fur on the face so that it would resemble the woolly mammoth that they had on their special. They created a computer animated model of the woolly mammoth to move on the documentary, and they wanted our woolly mammoth to resemble that woolly mammoth. So that's pretty much what you have when you build a woolly mammoth in 15 days.